This is ESPN, the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Rockingham, North Carolina for the Carolina 500. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Eli Gold, set to bring you the action. A couple of things to talk about. First of all, in practice here earlier, the drivers were complaining that the track is slick. And there's still the continuing controversy about the downsizing of the race cars this year.
Well, of course, Bob, the downsizing of the cars means that 5 inches of wheelbase has been subtracted from the cars that ran the circuit last year. What it has meant, of course, is a reacquainting for the crews, the drivers, everybody concerned, of the cars to the racetracks. What happens here this week during practice and qualifying is really not so much the cars, because the cars have virtually been stable on this racetrack in Rockingham, but the track, as you said, has been slick. There's been a sealant, an asphalt sealant, placed over the racetrack to help protect the racing surface. The drivers call it bear grease, and it is really not unlike what you might use on your driveways at home. But, of course, there has been a reason for it to begin to become a slick racetrack. The drivers have trouble hanging on, and, of course, as the week of racing progressed, the situation did seem to fix itself up. Yesterday, a late model sportsman race run by Dave Marcus. He ran away and hit and took the checkered flag. He said afterwards the grease from the cars, the rubber from the tires, has helped the racing surface a good deal. Of course, there has been a light but persistent rain here throughout the evening and early into the morning hours today. How much that might have done to the racetrack, how green is it today, and how much of the rubber and grease from the track has been washed away after yesterday's competition? Well, I guess we can answer that very early.
492 laps around this 1.017-mile track here this afternoon. A veteran race driver who now is doing television, Ned Jarrett, is covering the activity from the pit area.
Well, thank you, Bob. And those 492 laps here at Rockingham are among the toughest in all of auto racing. About 4 hours and a half it'll take to run this race. Very grueling, both mentally and physically on the drivers. And it's also grueling for the pit crew members, and we'll be covering the pit action here today. They'll make at least a half a dozen stops, depending on the number of caution flags. They'll be changing numerous tires and, of course, filling it up with gasoline every time they come in. They can get about 4 to 4 1/4 miles to the gallon of gas on these cars, so that means it takes quite a bit to run 500 miles. We'll be reporting that action to you. Now back to you, Bob.
The Grand National cars are about to compete in the Carolina 500. We'll have the action for you in just a moment.
This Bud's for the guys who got what it takes to shake, rattle, and keep on rolling.
This Bud's for you, for all you do. The king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you, that distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
And all the time I've been hauling new cars, I've never seen anything like it. Quaker State's new lifetime engine lubrication protection program. Use Quaker State, and you can get protection that guarantees your new car engine against oil-related failure. The engine, as long as you own it, in writing. It's guaranteed by Quaker State. The quality motor oil. Refined from Pennsylvania-grade crude oil.
New car or old, you'll be staying on the road with Quaker State.
I'd like to show you a stock car. This is the epitome of a stock car, a NASCAR Grand National. This 1981 Buick is driven by 7-time Winston Cup champion Richard Petty. The front is very similar to your passenger car. Under the hood is a 358 cubic inch engine. The difference in this engine and the engine that you'd have in your street car is the fact that it'll produce about 600 horsepower, turning about 7,800 to 8,000 RPMs. Well, there's a difference in the rest of the car, too. Let's take a look inside. As you can see, there's a difference in the instrument panel. Of course, you have the RPM gauge here. It does not have a speedometer. The oil temperature gauge tells him how hot the oil is running. And the water temperature gauge, very similar to the one you'd have on your own car, except the numbers are different. And an oil pressure gauge, he has to know how much oil pressure the pump is putting out. And the fuel pressure gauge, this lets him know when the car is practically out of gas. And then, of course, the amp gauge, which registers how much the battery is putting out. And there's a series of switches for all of these various gauges and the various pumps that are on the car. And as you can see, there's no back seat in one of these cars. Instead, there are roll bars, which helps to make it much safer for the race driver. The roll cage is tied into the frame of the car, and people say that it is one of the safest pieces of racing equipment in existence. And the seat is different from what we would have in our passenger car. It is fitted to the contour of the driver's body, not only to make it comfortable for him, but also to make it much safer for him. In case of an impact, he wants to stay as tightly in there as he possibly can. Now let's take a look at the rear of the car. The 1981 NASCAR cars are not quite as well aerodynamically designed as some of the cars they've run in the past. It has a straight rear window, which lets the airflow across here, and it even forms a swirl sometimes. But NASCAR permits them to run a spoiler. This has 216 square inches, and of course the air hits this, puts pressure on the back end, helps hold the back end down. Now let's look see what's under the deck lid. A little different from what you would have in your passenger car. Here is the fuel cell. It holds 22 gallons. It's a rubberized tank that holds the gas. In case of an impact, it'll squash together and not break apart as some of the tanks have in the past in accidents. Here is where the oil is held in this car, in the dry sump tank. Here, they put it on the left rear because of the weight. It holds 24 quarts. That would compare with about 5 quarts in your passenger car. And of course, here's the filler neck for the gas tank where it goes into the fuel cell. Every piece on this car is put there for a reason. Maybe not necessarily to make the car go faster, but more to make it safer.
Back live at Rockingham, North Carolina, where the cars are being lined up for the start of this Carolina 500-mile race here this afternoon. And we look at the money that the drivers will be competing for here this afternoon. The total purse amounts to about $193,325. The winner of this event here this afternoon will take home $17,505. Second place is worth $11,770, and third place $8,495. So there's a lot at stake here this afternoon.
And if you don't think that every single penny will be earned here today, you might guess again, because 492 laps on this racetrack is definitely a testing afternoon.
Just about ready for the start of this event. We'll be back for it in just a moment at Rockingham, North Carolina.
Hej, hallå, stanna! Det är en timme alltså.
Looks like you need some help, huh? Do you speak any English?
Nej, svenska. Men titta, om du vet med några...
How about a Coke?
Coke?
Drink.
Vad är det för något?
Coke!
Coca-Cola!
And a smile makes me feel good. Wherever you are. Well, where to?
Oh, just down to the next gas station.
Out of the blue comes the ice blue freshness of Aqua Velva. Out of the blue comes the Aqua Velva man. Looking for the light scent, the clean scent, the fresh scent that comes from out of the blue. There's something about an Aqua Velva man. Be one.
Why is our front-wheel drive Chevy Citation such a hero with so many Americans? Let's ask Working Woman.
With its 5-passenger room, my Citation works like a little limousine for our company's clients. Except when it's working like a wagon with room for all our company samples. Citation works like a charm in traffic, and it works
Thank you, Working Woman. But is there no room in your life for play?
I'm working on it.
Chevy makes good things happen.
Just about to start the Carolina 500 from Rockingham. The command has been given. The cars are underway. Here is the starting lineup, 37 cars for this race this afternoon. On the pole in car number 27, he qualified at 140.448 miles an hour, Cale Yarborough. Outside of row number 1, the controversial car driven by Bobby Allison, he qualified at 140.394. In the second row on the inside, King Richard Petty in car number 43, outside row number 2 in car number 11, Darrell Waltrip. In the third row, car 88, Ricky Rudd and Buddy Baker in car number 1. In the fourth row, car 47, Harry Gant and 21, Neil Bonnet. In row number 5, Terry Labonte in car number 44 and Benny Parsons in 15. Sixth row, Dale Earnhardt in number 2 and Slick Johnson in 53. Seventh row has Morgan Shepherd in car number 5 and Joe Milliken in 75. Eighth row, Lake Speed in number 66 and Richard Childress in number 3. In the ninth row, Dave Marcus in car number 71 along with Donnie Allison in car 12. The 10th row has J.D. McDuffie in car 70 and David Pearson in 16. In the 11th row, for this afternoon's Carolina 500, Lenny Pond in car 48 and Tim Richmond in 99. 12th row, Ronnie Thomas in 25 and Mike Alexander in 37. Row number 13, Buddy Arrington in 67 and car number 42 driven by Kyle Petty. 14th row, Rick Wilson in 62 and Indianapolis veteran Johnny Rutherford in 98. Row number 15, Jimmy Means in 52 and Bobby Wawak in 94. 16th row, Stan Barrett in 22 and Elliot Forbes Robinson in 86. In row number 17, Glenn Jarrett in car 17 along with Jody Ridley in 79. The 18th row consists of Cecil Gordon in 24 and Rick Newsom in number 20 as the cars go down the backstretch. And all alone in row number 17, car number 64 driven by Tommy Gale. That's the starting lineup for this afternoon's race. The cars are at the end of the backstretch and could get the green this time around.
1981 Mazda RX-7 pacing the field with the legendary Buck Baker at the keyboard, two-time national champion, twice the winner of the Southern 500 and one of the real pioneers of this sport.
492 laps to go here on this 1.017-mile racetrack. The turns are banked at 25 and 22 degrees. It's a demanding race. It's a grueling race. Here they come off of the fourth turn, and the green flag is out. We're underway for the Carolina 500, the Winston Cup Grand National cars. Into turn number 1. They're still running side by side, the first 2 rows. It's Yarborough on the inside, outside Bobby Allison. In row number 2, Richard Petty, and right alongside him is Darrell Waltrip in number 11. Now as the cars move through turn number 3, they begin to file into a single file order off of turn number 4. This will complete lap number 1, and it's Cale Yarborough leading, Bobby Allison running in second position, and Richard Petty in third.
The cars at this point staying low on the racetrack. The slick part we talked about earlier was upstairs in the banking of the grooves. So they're staying low on the racetrack. Cale Yarborough, a man who won both races here just one season ago at Rockingham, sets the pace here.
Yarborough moves that car low in turn number 3, now onto turn number 4. The track is not an oval shape, but here along the main grandstand, it's shaped like a D. There is no straightaway here in front of the grandstand, so we will be referring to no front stretch here, but rather a front straightaway. 27, Cale Yarborough now in the backstretch in turn number 3, and Richard Petty moves up to challenge for second and goes into second place. Yarborough has the lead, but now Richard Petty has moved into second position. Also a change for third position as we see Darrell Waltrip move into third. Bobby Allison drops back to fourth. It's Buddy Baker running in fifth position as we have completed 3 laps here this afternoon of this 492-lap race.
Field again sweeps by the start-finish line, and you see again the lead automobile. There's Cale Yarborough closing in on Buddy Arrington out of Martinsville, Virginia. And after a while, the slower cars obviously to the inside. And there you see Yarborough and Waltrip will make a move to the outside of race traffic. The slower cars normally move inside to let the leaders go by in the safety of the outside, and almost a bid for the lead, Bob.
Now, Darrell Waltrip moves to the inside here as the cars come off of the fourth turn here on the front stretch. It is Yarborough to the outside in 27. Right behind him, Darrell Waltrip in number 11. Yarborough is able to hold him off. They are continuing to lap some of the slower vehicles, a lap being put on Lenny Pond in car number 48. Now Yarborough stretches it out just a little bit as they go down the backstretch, and Darrell Waltrip settles in for second position.
Talk about Neil Bonnet, your talking about a man who, again, has not picked up a victory here at this racetrack, but as he closes in on Glenn Jarrett, the son of pit correspondent Ned Jarrett, you see Neil Bonnet, after a fine qualifying time, working his way back up after a 4-tire pit stop.
And Neil Bonnet, of course, one of the most well-liked drivers on the NASCAR Grand National Circuit. The leader continues to be Cale Yarborough in car number 27. No change in the first 4 positions. It's still Darrell Waltrip running in second. Richard Petty is now running in third position. And Bobby Allison in 28 runs fourth. In fifth, continuing to beat Buddy Baker on that red number 1 car, an Oldsmobile.
Around here, it's always bumper to bumper. I got to concentrate full-time on my driving, so I use the racing version of the STP double oil filter. With a filter and a filter, I know I don't have to worry about the protection my engine's getting. Of course, I don't know what kind of traffic you drive in, but when I go to work, man, it's always rush hour.
Get filter in a filter protection for your car. The STP double oil filter.
We're Exxon. We're Tom Goddard, managing a mine that produces the country's biggest source of electricity, American coal. We're Jerry Herman, working at a large western mine that will be producing coal for more than 30 years. We're Brian Leslie, sending the coal to be transformed into electricity for millions of Americans. We're more than 100,000 people working on energy. We're Exxon.
Beef. 100% pure beef. One fresh sesame seed bun. That sauce. You know what it is, and you know how good it tastes. The taste that started it all. Our Big Mac. Nothing but goodness, nothing but good taste.
Showing the way with Bonnet tucked in second position. We've completed 73 laps of this over 400 lap race, 500 miles on this 1.017 mile racetrack.
Now as we get the update, Bob Jenkins, from NASCAR Timing and Scoring, it is number 15, the milling tool car of Benny Parsons, that is being shown officially as the leader. Those cars, the 2 right there, and the 3, or at least the 2 immediately behind, that's the Harry Gant and Donnie Allison car, are on the tail end of the lead lap. So there you have Ricky Rudd and Neil Bonnet, the tail end of the lead lap. Likewise, Harry Gant, and the leader currently showing is a man out of Ellerbe, North Carolina. So says NASCAR Timing and Scoring, that being Benny Parsons.
Well, once again, it's very difficult to keep them straight because there are so many cars on the racetrack, and when we do have yellow flag situations and a lot of pit stops are made, it's very difficult to determine who is actually in the lead. And although a car may be running at the front of the pack, as is the case here with Ricky Rudd and Neil Bonnet, both of those cars are not in contention for the lead at this point, but rather the car that is running 5th in the pack at this time, the car number 15, driven by Benny Parsons.
This ESPN SportsCenter update is being brought to you by American Express Traveler's Checks.
I gotta get to a phone. Honey, take the kids and get on the plane.
We'll stay right here.
We're gonna make this vacation.
Come on.
14, now boarding through gate 5.
American Express Refund Center.
We lost our traveler's checks.
Don't run.
They were gone.
Where did you purchase your checks?
Where's Dad?
That's it? A full refund? Thanks.
The majority of people who call American Express have a full refund approved within 12 minutes. So ask for American Express by name.
Looking for someone?
This Bud's for the people who make the tough jobs all part of a day's work.
This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you, that distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
Vitalis says it's true. A man has to keep himself under control.
4,000 feet, 3,000 feet, 2,000 feet.
But I'm under control. After you dry and style your hair, Use the Vitalis pump for a terrific natural look you can keep under control just the way you want all day long.
My horse in the 5th finished first in the 6th. But I'm under control.
Who says it's true? Vitalis says it's true. A man has to keep himself under control.
I'm under control.
Good service isn't giving people what they expect. No, it's giving them more than they expect. Avis knows that. So when you make a reservation, Avis makes a commitment, and they honor it.
Morgan?
See, even if you're 6 hours late, now you might be willing to pay a little more for this service, but at Avis you don't have to. Trying harder is still the best way to do business.
On the backstretch.
We were in a position to talk to the leader of this race, Cale Yarborough, a couple of days ago. Let's hear what Cale had to say before the start of the race.
Well, I think the main thing you have to do here is to be able to run strong towards the end. You know, the race is 500 miles on a mile racetrack, and it gets mighty tiresome down towards the end of the race. And I think if you can be physically strong towards the end, that you'll probably have a better chance than anybody else.
Cale Yarborough in turn number 3 on the low side of the racetrack. The battle in second and third position is between Richard Petty and Bobby Allison. Richard to the high side of the racetrack as they come down to complete lap number 197. Petty with the second place position right now, with Bobby Allison right behind, and challenging in fourth position to the inside is Neil Bonnet in car number 21.
Here in the race on lap 125.
Well, we'll take a replay of the accident involving Dale Earnhardt, this most recent one. The number 2 Earnhardt car getting into turn number 3, and there you can see he was sideways going into the turn, backed it up into the outside retaining wall, slid along it for several feet, and then brought the car to the inside of the racetrack on the high banks. Dale Earnhardt, the second time this afternoon that he has been involved in an accident here, and it appears that they are changing the tires on that car, and he will go back out in competition. While we were away a few minutes ago, we had another accident involving Ricky Rudd in car number 88. His car was also sideways, this time in turn number 2. Rudd drove the car up into the outside retaining wall at the entrance to the backstretch, then brought the car to the inside. Ricky Rudd eliminated from competition in an accident earlier.
For those who, of course, follow Ricky Rudd, we've talked about Ricky doing some of his own campaigning for a while. He also spent some time with the Junie Dunleavy team. And last year, he picked up the services of Harry Hyde.
Well, we take a look at some of the track records held here. Donnie Allison holds the track record for qualifying at 142.648 miles an hour. That set last year, 25.666 seconds. So the whole speed this year was about 2.2 miles an hour slower than Allison's record-setting qualifying run back in 1980. The safety car remains out on the racetrack as he leads the other cars down the backstretch. Right behind the safety car is the Harry Gant, number 47. So we have completed 278 laps, 114.5 miles an hour for an average, and we'll be back with more racing at Rockingham, North Carolina in a moment.
You're about to see Ford pickups make 6-cylinder EPA fuel economy history. For 1981, Ford breaks this mileage barrier with the best estimated MPG ever achieved by a 6-cylinder pickup. And here's another breakthrough, the first and only automatic overdrive option in any 8-cylinder truck. When your speed reaches about 40, it automatically shifts into overdrive and your engine runs slower. Only Ford has V8 automatic overdrive. For 1981, Ford pickups make one breakthrough after another. They're built Ford tough.
Wallace, you gotta keep him out of there!
I'm used to him yelling, but not at me.
Push him out! Push him out! Out your best! Out your best! Budweiser live!
The best never comes easy.
Nice game.
That's why there's nothing else like it.
Budweiser!
Gathered here in Rockingham, North Carolina for the Carolina 500. They are about to rise to their feet to watch the restart here on lap number 282. The green is about to come out. The most recent yellow was for an accident involving Dale Earnhardt, a very interesting situation on pit road. It appears that after 2 incidents of wall contact, that car has been bent sufficiently, at least the gas intake has been bent sufficiently. They cannot get gasoline into the car, and Dale Earnhardt is going to have to pull behind the wall and call it an afternoon. It's been a tough one for Dale Earnhardt. He now is out of the race, and the green flag comes back out. Being shown as your leader is Joe Milliken in car number 75. In second position, the number 11, Darrell Waltrip. In third, Neil Bonnet. Fourth is Bobby Allison, and fifth is Buddy Baker.
There goes the move to the inside for Waltrip. Makes a bid for the lead on Randleman, North Carolina's Joe Milliken. On Waltrip going low on the racetrack, has the leadership. Neil Bonnet comes along, takes the free ride on Waltrip. So the first 2 cars in the train, those being Benny Parsons and Harry Dent, are on the tail end of the lead lap. Your leader is going to be the 11 Dew Crew machine of Waltrip. He goes just a bit high in the turn. Bonnet had thoughts about going downstairs. Nothing there. Milliken is in third place.
The green and white car of Darrell Waltrip is in the lead at this point as the cars head for turn number 3. Waltrip formerly drove the number 88 Gatorade car, which is also green and white, and the car spinning in turn number 3.
It is going to be Richard Childress, the Winston-Salem, North Carolina driver, spins off the banking. The leaders have taken the caution as they bring it across the start-finish line. So Waltrip in the number 11 hangs on, and Benny Parsons and Harry Gant do remain on the tail end of the lead lap. Here's Childress back on his way again, but a tough spin for one of the major independent drivers on the circuit, Richard Childress.
For all the guys who keep the action from getting out of hand, this Bud's for you.
This Bud's for you. There's no one else who does it quite the way you do. So here's to you. You know it isn't only what you say, it's what you do. This Bud's for you. This Bud's for you, for all you do. The king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do.
This Bud's for you.
Standing and watching those blue and red clad figures all looking on.
Among those in the pit area, our man, Ned Jarrett.
We're standing by in the pit area. We've asked Dale them groupies if they're going to stop. He says, I don't know. We're still going to run out of gas. They are ready just in case he has to post into the pit, but they're going to try to run him all the way.
Well, this is going to be an interesting situation. Does Richard Petty have enough fuel to last the race? They're going to run it till the car runs out and take a chance that it'll be the complete 500-mile distance. We've completed 478. We have now 479. We have 13 laps to go. So Richard Petty, now with the lead, will try to stretch those final 13 miles out of that car and come home a winner here this afternoon.
We've got a clock on Richard Petty, and we look at the STP pits, the Petty Enterprise pit area. Everybody looking on. They're charting gasoline, checking lap times. We are doing lap times as well right here as Petty flashes by that lap in a flat 27 seconds. 27 seconds. So it is about a second behind the pole speed set by Cale Yarborough. And when you have a 13-second lead over second place, maybe back off the wick just a little bit to try and conserve some fuel. If there's a question, there's second place runner Waltrip.
And the car immediately ahead of the leader, Richard Petty, is the 21 driven by Neil Bonnet. There it is. Petty about to put a lap on the 4th place car here this afternoon. Neil Bonnet, who challenged for the lead most of the afternoon and ran into some terrible luck at the last pit stop when he came in too hot, had to get on the brakes, partially spun the car in his pit area. That cost him precious time and dropped him back to 4th position. He's about to go a lap down to the leader, Richard Petty. Now a little bit of sun sunshine peeks through this North Carolina sky and presents a serious challenge to the drivers as they head for turn number 1. It's shining right in their face.
You saw Dale Inman looking on so very pensively in his final race as his final race with the Winston Cup. Richard Petty Enterprises moves on to join the Australian crew. Some impressive statistics. Try these. Richard Petty, 193 career wins. 49 on the super speedways. That is second on the all-time list. He has won this race 6 times. He has run at this track and won 10 times. So the man knows his way around Rockingham Speedway. And right now, inside of 10 laps, 9 now remaining.
And it appears that we're not going to have a nose-to-tail victory here, at least at this point. Waltrip there in car number 11 in second place is about a half a lap behind.
His final lap around this 1-mile track in Rockingham with bottom of the round. Darrell Waltrip started this race in first position. Stop for fuel in the late stages of the race, giving the lead to Darrell Waltrip. And Waltrip now is about to win. There is Richard Petty, who is running in third position. It's been the lucky weeks. Last week winning in Richmond and right here at Rockingham. Darrell Waltrip once again makes it 2 in a row, winning after winning it last weekend and again here this afternoon. Tremendously exciting finish to the 500-mile race at Rockingham with Darrell Waltrip, who played it cool and laid back in second position, watching Richard Petty run out of fuel, and when Petty moved into the pit area, Waltrip went into the lead and maintained it for the final 3 laps to put off the victory here this afternoon. Unofficially finishing in second position, the number 27 of Cale Yarborough. Finishing in third position was Richard Petty in car number 43. What a day of racing after 500 miles, a tremendous finish. Why is anybody surprised? I don't know. This kind of racing goes on week after week on the Winston Cup Tour. You see Waltrip waving and accepting the accolades of the Duke crew. Everybody piling in and piling on top of that car, immaculately prepared by Junior Johnson. And there's going to be some kind of celebration tonight for those people. Well, it's a disappointing afternoon for several people, including Neil Bonnet in 21, who came into the pit area and partially spun. A disappointing afternoon for the King, Richard Petty, number 43, who was well out into the lead by almost a half a lap, but had to come into the pit area in the final 3 laps for fuel, giving up the lead to Waltrip. Petty finishes in third position. The winner, Darrell Waltrip, down in victory lane, so is Ned Jarrett. And he acts a little bit tired, aren't you, Dora? I'm flabbergasted. Are you surprised to see yourself in victory lane? I didn't know we were leading races. And Junior came on the radio and said, run like hell, you know, and I thought he meant maybe for a 5 or something, you know. Had no idea it was for the win. I owe everything to the whole of the crew. They did everything. It was unbelievable. You had to be running off fumes at the end. It was sputtering, you know, and I thought it was just maybe a broken valve thing or something. Didn't even think about gas. Well, 2 in a row. You won last week at Richmond, and then here at Rockingham, you got it going now with this new crew. Well, like I said, you know, I owed all the Mountain Dew pit crew and Junior Johnson. They just did a fabulous job, and I think so enough fun. Well, here's a fellow that is surprised and happy and all the things that goes along with being in victory circle at a NASCAR race. Can you believe that? He won the race and didn't he was in the lead. Maybe a good psychology for Junior Johnson. Don't tell the driver all that goes on. Just let him keep running. Somehow, you got to think that Darrell Waltrip is just living a good life or something, because things have really fallen so well for him. To the Carolina 500, the winner, Darrell Waltrip, finishing in second position, Cale Yarborough, and third was Richard Petty. Well, Eli, we have seen a lot of close racing on our ESPN telecast of auto racing last year, but this one was not necessarily a close race, but the dramatics were unbelievable. I think somebody's going to have to dig down to the grab bag and find some new adjectives, because great, unbelievable, and remarkable, all of those may come up just a bit short here today. You're talking about some of the top teams, the top cars, the outstanding drivers in Winston Cup racing. And again today, I guess the logo and the claim of the most competitive brand of racing anywhere has really been upheld by NASCAR. The finish was remarkable. It was, due to the lack of a better term, when it comes down after 500 miles to a situation of gasoline, strategy, one driver injuries, a great credit to the NASCAR safety regulations. Of course, safety is a major factor. We saw in the recent days some of the most outstanding driver reactions to problem situations. Some cars that go in every which direction in Daytona, problems in Richmond, and again here 14 times, if I'm not mistaken, this afternoon. Everybody gets up, dusts themselves off after a wild ride, and goes on back to their business. So, again, a tribute to the safety factors built into these Winston Cup Grand National cars. But what can you say about Darrell Waltrip? It is seemingly that marriage made in heaven. People talked about the All-America team, whatever. Junior Johnson and Waltrip now winning 2 races in a row last week in Richmond and here again this afternoon. Again to finish, Darrell Waltrip, your winner, Cale Yarborough second. The very dejected pit crew of Richard Petty finishes in 3rd position after Petty appeared to be well on his way to victory, but had to stop for gasoline. We have several more Grand National races on our ESPN.
Alcoa can't wait.
For half a century, aluminum has played an important role in the development of the automobile. That's especially true today. Aluminum's now being used in dozens of new ways to reduce weight and increase fuel economies. There's a real demand for the lean and lively cars of the 80s, because the more aluminum we put into them, the more MPGs you get out of them.
We can't wait for tomorrow. Alcoa can't wait.
This is ESPN, the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network.